Okay. Oh, yes. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm delighted to welcome you to another interesting edition of Hello Ladies here on 94.5 Orient FM. Oh, thank you so very much. This is the much awaited edition of the program. Yes, we've been promoting this program on the social media platforms and also elsewhere, and a lot of people have shown interest to actually join us today on this particular edition of Hello Ladies. My name is Joyce Nebu, as always, and I'm happy, very happy to welcome you. Warm welcome to you indeed. Now, I have been promoting this issue of sex, teenage love. When is the right time to have sex, to begin having sex? For a teenager, if you have a teenage daughter or you have a teenager in the house, that's a difficult time. Of course, you know that. If you're a parent or if you're a big sister or a big brother, you have your teenage sisters telling you that they're big enough, or, they're old enough to run their own lives. Can you imagine somebody at 13, 14, 15? Oh, well, this whole topic came about because a young girl or some young people asked me, Auntie Joyce, when is the right time to begin having sexual relationships? Can you imagine? A girl of 13, a girl of 14, they are curious. Don't crucify them. Don't yell and say they are too young. What do they know about sex? Yes, they mightn't know anything about sex, but they are curious about their bodies. They're developing. They want to know, what to do. What they must have come across that. They must have read about sex, and they are curious to know what it is about. So you are welcome. Due to these many pleas and questions from my youngster fans and friends, I decided to set to work to about a special talk that will answer some of their questions. As far as I can remember, I know there are lots of people who have dropped comments on the social media platforms. Many people say the right time for sex is sex. Dr. Mrs. Mma Olebara, I saw her comment say the right time to have sex is during marriage, when you're married. And so many other people followed suit to say that's the best time to begin to even think of sex. And but there are some different voices too. One young lady came up to say, in this modern age, all these people forming purity. The girl was quite skeptical. Anyway, hopefully I'll read out the messages. But for now, let's talk about waiting. I captioned this topic, waiting for sex. Waiting is what we are going to talk about now. It's a simple enough word, but there's more to that simple word than meets the eye. So, what is waiting? What does it have to do with relationships? What does it have to do with sex? In this context, what does it actually mean? So now, what does waiting mean, especially in relation to the context we are using it? To wait means to delay action for a specified time until something happens. It means to be patient for some time. In other words, to wait is to take one's time before acting or to delay action until an appropriate time. Hence, we talk about the waiting game, which means a deliberate delay in taking action so that one may act more effectively later. Waiting is one of the most difficult things for us human beings. It's waiting. Nobody loves to wait and wait and wait. However, it usually pays off in the long run if we succeed in waiting. Such moments as waiting for our turns, for someone, you go to the office to visit maybe a high-ranking government official, and they usually have a room dedicated to visitors. You stay there and wait and wait and wait. It grates on the nerves. It's not easy. Okay, many people are impatient. It jars on our nerves, and our impatient nature find it highly intolerable to wait and keep waiting. The age of high tech and modern technology does not make it easier for us to get accustomed to waiting. For instance, These days, we don't have to wait for months on end to get replies to letters written to somebody abroad. With the advent of the telephones, GSMs, electronic mails, etc., waiting that long becomes quite unnecessary. It's also affecting other aspects of lives, like these teenagers wondering why wait. Why do we have to wait till we get married to experience this, to experiment with sex? However, despite all of this high technology, all this fast-paced life that we enjoy during this our generation, nature generally is fashioned in such a way that man must wait. Things in nature have turns. We have the winter period, we have summer, autumn. All these things come in phases. This one comes and goes, this one comes and goes. This one must wait. Winter must give way to, I think, autumn. Winter must give way to, is it spring or autumn? Which one now? I don't know which one comes first. But I know that summer comes before winter. All of these things. So that's the nature, the way God has fashioned nature. Everything in nature has its time. The sun must wait till its day before coming out to this part of Africa. Sometimes it goes all around to Europe. Sometimes when it's sunning in Sweden, places like Sweden, that's Scandinavian countries, they hardly get enough sunshine. Anyhow, when it's sunning in a place like US, it may be dark here. The sun has to wait, go right around before coming back to Africa to give us its light. So the moon, the same. The various crops must complete their cycle before producing. The rains must hang in there till the rainy season, and so must the harmattan remain cool till winter or December period. And so it is that everything in nature and life has its season, and all these seasons involve the period of waiting. This waiting produces order. There's no hurry in nature. It's you have to wait, be patient. Nature itself is patient. Without this waiting, there'll be chaos in the universe, and the cosmos will be upset. So it is too in human life. A considerable amount of waiting is required of us, human beings, in order not to upset our various destinies, make mistakes, hurry into things that is too much for us. Some years ago, I got a phone call from a young girl. I used to be very busy in those days. I used to go to campuses, churches to give talks, motivational talks. Now, one of the days I got a message from a young fan of mine, and she needed to see me. She said, "Please, Auntie, I have to see you now. I am so pleased." Okay, if I don't see you now, Auntie Joyce, I'm going to kill myself. Hey, I said, don't kill yourself, okay? I will be there. I shut down my system. I was busy and hurried off to see her. So we were there talking at the church compound, on Wedra Road then. And when I saw her, she alighted from a bike. She was so young, with low cuts, very young girl in her teens. We sat down, we started talking. I wanted to know why she wanted to see me. She needed to see me. And I told her, never ever think of taking your life, okay? Don't talk like that next time. And then what was her problem? She was pregnant. I think she was 14 or 15. It's a teenage pregnancy. She was pregnant and she was crying as if her heart would break. And according to her, she had gone to the guy responsible, one of the young men in the university. This girl was still in secondary school then. And the young man had told her, if I see you near my house again, I'll kill you. And it was in that desperation that she called. She put a call through to me and said she was going to take her life. You see, the poor girl was desperate. She was thrown into despair. She was disturbed. She was emotionally turned upside down. She was too young. She didn't know what to do. And these were all tumbling out from her mouth. That's, she couldn't wait for sex. She was sweet-talked into what was too big for her. And now she's gotten into trouble and she needs help. You see what I mean? Waiting. It's important to wait. The inability of man to wait or exercise patience has caused a lot of heartaches and sorrows and even untimely deaths to many. And it's with all these in mind that we shall look at today's topic, teenagers, adolescents. It's dedicated to adolescents, very young people in secondary schools, young ladies, especially teenagers, adolescents, and others in that age bracket. So, dear adolescents, dear teenagers listening to me, and if you somebody was saying, yes, when I dropped this issue or topic on social media on Facebook, you can still watch me live. I am live now on Facebook. When I dropped it, a lot of comments came up because you see, issues about sex, bring about a lot of comments, generate a lot of comments, a lot of friction, a lot of tension. People want to talk about it. Of course, it's good to tell young people about their bodies and about sex. Discuss this so that they first of all hear it from you. In fact, one girl who dropped a comment was making that point. But more people were saying, you have to wait till marriage. And some others are saying in this day and age, it is unrealistic. Particularly one woman, particularly one lady, particularly said, well, if you tell them now to wait till marriage, they will see you as old-fashioned. And I replied her, so what if they consider you as old-fashioned? So what? Okay, do we all have to, for example, start stealing because it's now what is fashionable? Do we all have to start going about naked because it's now what is fashionable to be considered as modern? Okay, you see what I mean? So many people reason this way. Say, they will think I'm old-fashioned. When you reason like that, it means you have identity issues. You've got to work on your identity. Now, so there are young people, teenagers, adolescents, especially those of you who have written to me. Hear me now. I told people to join the show to know what I'll tell them. Please, you must wait, WAIT, for the right time before committing yourselves to a sexual relationship. It's too early for a young girl who has just entered her teens, maybe 13, 14, to begin to want to experiment with sex. It's much too big for you. I just told a story about a young girl who had the same problem and got into trouble. She fell pregnant, and imagine being pregnant at the age of 14. What does she know about taking care of a baby, having a baby? She was still opening up like a rose flower, still developing. She's already pregnant. You see, so my advice, my own point of view, POV, wait. You have to wait. You must resist the temptation to go all the way with your boyfriends. You must be cool, hanging there until it is your turn, till the time is right, till marriage, till you are ready, till you are armed with the important, basic, and necessary things in life, like a good education. You must wait till such a time when you are sure you'll be able to support yourselves, till you are sure that you can take care of yourself in case something goes wrong, like in the case of this young girl. Now, assuming she was working, she had a well-paying job, she wouldn't be bothered. She would go right ahead, have a baby, and take care of herself and the baby, you see, because she has an income. But for a girl who's still feeding from her mama's pot, a 13, 14, 15-year-old girl who's still in secondary school, how do you begin to take care of yourself, let alone a baby at that age? So you have to wait till such a time when you are sure you can take care of yourself, till you are sure that you can take care of yourself in case something goes wrong, till you are almost sure you have some economic independence. I promise to talk about economic independence on this show sometime, until marriage. How about psychological maturity? That's also important. Are you psychologically mature? And when you talk about issues like this, sex before marriage, teenage sex and all of that, people think you're old-fashioned. Like one lady replied to me on Facebook, people think, you're old-fashioned. Not so. Because before I came up with this topic, I went to the internet I looked at the way it is across the pond, in civilized, the places we regard as civilized nations, okay? And to my amazement, I saw that many of them also preach to their young people to wait until marriage. I will have recourse to insider.com. It's a relationship website, and I got a lot of information from there. I'll read out what I got. It said reasons why waiting to have sex may be the best thing you do for your relationship. Yes, that's from insider.com. This is not a Nigerian, this is not Igbo, this is not African. This is foreign. The people we say are not old-fashioned. The people we look up to and say, they are, they are hip people. We still talk about this. Let alone over here, these are civilized nations where the governments over there care a lot. Where when people get into trouble, such as the young girl whose story I told you about earlier, people get into trouble. It's not the end of their lives. There are a lot of options, a lot of opportunities provided by their government over there. In a place like America, a young girl, a 13 or 14-year-old girl getting pregnant doesn't mean her education is over. No way. Her life isn't over. Even over here, it shouldn't be. But then, I'm just juxtaposing the two, the civilized nations and uncivilized nations. A lot of our young people watch a lot of things, movies and films on GoTV and on the cable, and they want to copy those things, forgetting that the environments are different. The environments are different. Over there, they have a much more organized society. Much more organized society, so much that when young people get into trouble, there are institutions to take care of them. But over here, do we have such institutions? Do we ruin our lives when we get into trouble, when we smoke Indian hemp and do stuff like that? We want to behave like Tupac or Kelly, all of those guys we watch and we read about. They get into trouble, they have rehab centers, for instance. Over here, do you have such things? Are your parents rich enough to accommodate you and your pregnancy and take care of you? How about your education? These are all things to consider before going ahead to experiment with things much bigger than you are. So, for me, I ask people on social media, on Facebook, to watch out for my reply. For me, the advice is young people should wait for sex. Everything beautiful is worth waiting for. And sex is beautiful. So it is worth waiting for. Wait for sex. You're too young to start thinking about, start getting worried about who to sleep with, for crying out loud. If my child, I will educate her, draw her close and educate her about this, okay? But that should be the end of it. After educating, you shouldn't worry your head over it. There are too many things to do as a teenager, many things to achieve, tests to win, to write, and contests to win, to take part in, and all of that. These are things that should occupy the mind of a young person, a teenager, an adolescent. At this age, you're still too young to start going all the way. All right, now, when we return, I will read out from the insider.com. I give credit to them. I explored their site and saw something very interesting. Reasons why waiting to have sex may be the best thing you do for your relationship. You see, they also preach this. Even these are people we consider as civilized nations, and look down on ourselves. When you preach things like this over here, they say, you're old-fashioned. So what? Don't you know it's beautiful to be old-fashioned sometimes? You are safe by being old-fashioned than being modern and getting into trouble that can derail your life. All right, we shall go on a break now. Chigozie here is my music maker. Chigozie, let's go on a break. Thank you.
Virtuous woman.
Bye.
Flavor.
I love flavor a lot. So Chigozie is giving me treacherous woman. I like it too. She's worth more than silver. There are evidences here. It's precious woman.
Virtuous.
Okay, virtuous woman. Yeah, it can be treasures. Virtuous woman.
Virtuous, yeah.
She's very strong, a woman of dignity. She's prayerful. Okay, let's go. Reduce it. Thank you, Chigozie. Thank you for that music. The virtuous woman. That's flavor. I like the guy, and he's thinking about the virtuous woman. And we are also discussing the virtuous woman. Remember, don't forget, it's the topic that's been trending on my wall on Facebook. Teenagers ask, when is the right time to have sex? Young people, female human beings in their teens, 13, 14, 15. These are very early stages of human development, and they're curious. They want to know, who is even teaching them about sex? How do they know about, intimate relationships? Well, they are growing up. Now, welcome back to the show. There are lots of reasons. Remember, I said I will read from insider.com. It's a relationship website on the internet and from abroad. So just so you know, because a lot of people think when you talk about waiting for sex, it has to do with Africans only. No, that it's about, it has to be about Africans only, not really. Even over there, the so-called civilized world preach things like this. Now, there are many reasons why the youngster doesn't want to wait. She's impatient. The craze around her, the whirlwind fast life of her peers, the lack of role models, and many false beliefs flying around all make it difficult for the confused and bewildered youngster or adolescent to comprehend the need to wait. They can't just understand why they have to wait. Her friends are busy telling her she is wasting her time waiting for what she could have now, and worse still, there are no role models to help her maintain her balance. And of course, the inevitable false beliefs that it is impossible to have a clean, sex-free relationship with a person of the opposite sex. All these combine to knock the poor adolescent off her feet. And believe me, this is true. So they get confused. They're bewildered. They don't know which way to go. So if you're not close to them as a mother or a big sister to help direct their path, they just make mistakes. Although sometimes it's good to make mistakes and learn from your own mistakes. So, but not mistakes that can cost them dearly. Once I received an email from a confused young person, a youngster, telling me that she is having difficulty with her friends who are forever teasing her and telling her that it is impossible for her to maintain a sex-free relationship with her boyfriend. And according to this young girl, that is exactly what she's having right now. And she asked me to convince her friends that it is possible to have such a relationship. Of course, it is possible. At this age, in fact, I would like to even to have a boyfriend. What do you need a boyfriend for at this age? Don't you think you're too young? So even if you must have, then you declare your terms. You tell him, look, I can't go beyond this point. That's how to be a good girl with the right self-esteem. You're bold enough to declare your terms, okay? So I hope that her friends might be listening to this show, the friends of the girl who wrote to me. And of course, it's possible to have that kind of relationship when one is still so young and unprepared. I once read about an American singer, a celebrity for that matter, saying that she and her fiance were having a sex-free relationship, which helps them to be disciplined and to respect each other. Americans, not Africans. Before somebody starts telling me, you're old fashioned. No, these are people we look up to. We think know it all. And I almost forgot to add that the magazine didn't say whether these two were Christians or not, but I'm sure if they were, they would have mentioned it. So, if non-Christians could do it, how about those who say they are? Anyway, we are concerned here with being ready first. An adolescent or a teenager in her early teens has no business with a sexual relationship. Take it from me. You're getting my opinion now. That's what I think. You have no business. What are you doing with that? You have school, you have books, you have house chores, you have clubs to attend. You can go to parties, birthday parties of your friends, because you have to socialize at that age, grow. You can even have friends of the opposite sex, close friends. You draw the line, okay? Which way to go. So ladies, now let's talk about why should a young girl wait? I will commence by asking you whether you have ever watched the movie. I watched it very many years ago, Consequences, by some Ghanaian post-primary students. Why is it that we don't have such dramas anymore these days? Young people in secondary schools. I wonder if we still have drama clubs, theater houses in our secondary schools. You see, these are things that can make our young people very busy. You're involved in journalist clubs, drama clubs, all these debating societies. All these things divert your attention. They help you to develop, to acquire skills, speaking skills and other skills that can prepare you for adulthood. Okay, so that movie, Consequences, I watched it many years ago when I was an adolescent. No need to go into the story, but suffice it to say that it's the story of what happens when an ignorant and unprepared teenager gets sexually involved in a relationship. We know about the adverse consequences of many youngsters who get involved in a sexual relationship and become completely traumatized all through life and live an unhappy and unfulfilled life, while many don't even live to tell the story of how it all began. I have already told you the story of a young girl who called me up one day and said, "Auntie Joyce, I have to see you. I have to see you. If I don't see you now, I'm going to kill myself." She was desperate. Something had happened. Something had gone wrong. And I booked an appointment for her. I went, to see her. I've already told this story. And what was her problem? She was too young when I saw her. A small girl. She was 14 then. And her problem was she was pregnant. She was desperate. Who knows what might have happened? What if I hadn't answered her? What if I hadn't gone to see her, to at least talk with things over with her? I directed her back to her mom. Say, your mom is the best person to talk to at this time. She said my mom will kill me. Your mom will not kill you. Okay, I now said, who is your pastor? Who is your minister? Who is your father? Who is your priest? She told me, I said, okay, you have to go to the priest. From there, you meet your mom. Okay? We tried to find a solution to that problem. And I'm happy at the end of the day, there was a solution. Not abortion. Please, no. Now, so we know the consequences could be quite traumatizing. Imagine a young girl of 13 or 14 getting pregnant, having a baby. The trauma of rejection, like in the case of the young girl who told me, the boyfriend who put her in the family ways told her, if I see you near my house again, I'll kill you. Imagine the trauma, traumatized. And this trauma might, if not properly treated, might stay with her till life. Imagine a young girl who had to have a baby at the age of 14 and had to give away her baby. In adulthood, when she's a woman and mother to other children, she always remembers that child she gave away. This is true. These things are true life stories. Don't say no way, no way. You know, a lot of us, we pretend a lot. Some people may pretend, it's no big deal. No, it is a big deal. It affects you psychologically. You never forget that child, your first child. So young girls who start out early will be saving all the trauma of each experience in her psyche. And this, of course, will later come to haunt her. I've met so many young people. I told you, I've gone to so many schools to give talks to young people in secondary schools, in campuses. Many of them, I'm confident to so many. Many of them have confided in me about their life experience. In fact, I once met a young girl who said she had to get rid of her own pregnancy, and she was never the same. It so traumatized her that she began hearing sounds of infants crying every time. At the point, she needed mental health care. And don't say, well, this person did it. No, that person might not be honest to tell you what she is facing, what she's going through. You know, our society now, people hide things, they love bottle things up. But inside, they are going through hell. You never know. You know. So these are some of the things, some of the consequences of not waiting. Okay? You can easily trace this to their early teenage sexual experiences. Many girls, I've also met girls who clam up after rejection, especially who began having sex very early in life. They clam up, they never enjoy it again, especially after rejection, maybe when they get pregnant. These guys take off. When they eventually marry, they don't have a taste for it, they don't enjoy it anymore because they have shut out, clammed up. I'm sure no teenager would like to have many unpleasant memories haunt her later in life when she settles down to enjoy the goodies. Still talking about the consequences. How about disrupting one's education? In this part of the world, there's so much poverty. You know, I've met a girl whose education was disrupted because of an issue like this. And many years when she became an adult, she forever regrets not going to school, not having a university degree, because now she's saddled with, she can't afford it, it's expensive, you know. Back then, she couldn't continue her education. And she, according to her, it had remained one of her greatest regrets in life. And she's carrying it through life, through old age and all of that. All because of a mistake. All because she was impatient. She wanted to experiment, and that got her into trouble. Especially, you know, I keep talking about over here in Africa, in this part of the world. Don't copy everything you see on the internet. Don't copy everything you see on our screens, foreign screens especially. The environment there is totally different. Things are organized. Nothing can stop one's education unless the person doesn't want to continue. But over here, a lot of factors can come into play. Especially, we're trying to prevent this one being one of those factors. I think it's high time every woman realize that the essence of life is happiness. These white people learned this a long time ago. And it's heartwarming too that many of our own women are fast realizing that life is meaningless without happiness. So we need to do everything right within our power to secure our happiness, which is why the adolescent must make the sacrifice of waiting for the right time to ensure her happiness later. Over here, I don't know why it's so difficult for many of us we don't much believe in sacrifice here. We want to just take. I feel like having it, I take. I feel like getting this, I take. Even if it means stealing it. Even if it means going out with another person's husband. You know, this kind of thing, that's the kind of thing that has defined our society. And it's so sad, it's so bad. We must learn to make sacrifices, to wait for our turns, to wait for things, to hold back, to be disciplined enough to keep off, to stay off of public funds and things like that. And it's little things like this. You wait for sex, which is one of the strongest human urge. If you succeed in waiting for sex, you also succeed in keeping off, being disciplined against embezzling funds. You know, it's a gradual thing. You build up your self-discipline. The entire human person is all linked on several aspects. This aspect of waiting for sex, this aspect of holding away, holding back from stealing, this aspect of, they are all linked. So when you're disciplined in this area, it will also help you to be disciplined in another aspect of human nature. So now I'll take a look, because of time, let's take a look at what Insider.com has to say about waiting to have sex. They said reasons why waiting to have sex may be the best thing you do for your relationship. This is from foreign land. You know, we always look up to them as people who have seen, or who are hip, people who must imitate, people who must look up to, people who are fashionable, modern, and all of that. Like I told you, somebody on my wall was commenting. He said, no, if you tell them now to wait before marriage, till marriage, they'll tell you you're old-fashioned. So what? Sometimes it's good to be old-fashioned. I am old-fashioned. I love it. I love traditional ways of doing things. It is safer, honestly, than being on the fast lane. I mean, you want to prove you're modern and you make mistakes, you ruin your life. So let's see. And these are the people we say they are trendy, they are modern, they are this, but they are still advising their young people to wait. You see. So let's see what Insider.com has to say. You said there are a lot of decisions you have to make when getting into a new relationship with someone. When to meet each other's families and friends, how often you should see each other, see, and when you should have sex for the first time. These are decisions you have to make. Do our young people here ever think of these things? I think so, because I've had to answer questions from many young people after giving a talk. I recall on one occasion, the girl had already, her boyfriend had already planned, paid for the hotel, and I cooked his goose, really. After having a talk, I went there to give a talk. I told them they need to wait. You know, you have to wait. Are you sure you're not ready? Blah, blah, blah. After my talk, a young girl came to me. Auntie Joyce, thank you very much. She said, do you know, my boyfriend has been disturbing. He said, I will be sick. You know, and these girls believe all kinds of things. They tell you it's not healthy to wait for sex. They tell you you will not be able to get pregnant when you marry, if you wait, or a lot of things. And these girls believe them because they are not informed. They don't read. You can Google. Now, we are even at an advantage in our generation. We have Google and all sources of information we can, have recourse to. And this girl was telling me he had already booked the hotel. I have finally agreed, auntie. But I told him, let me come and listen to the talk first. This was at Federal Polytechnic many years ago. And after my talk, she now said, auntie, thank you, I'm not going again. I cooked the guy's goose. He was ready. I'm sure he must have hated me afterwards. At least she needed more time to wait. She was still young. She wasn't convinced she was ready. She was being pushed to do that. But after that talk, she decided to wait. Now, every relationship moves at its own pace. Exactly. You don't have to do things because Nkechi has done it and I have to. No, you're not Nkechi. Nkechi is not you. Define what you want. Okay? Every relationship moves at its own pace. And the most optimal time you should have sex is whenever you are both comfortable with it. Being comfortable with it could be when you finally marry. Okay, but if you're stressing out about wanting to wait for a little into your relationship in order to do the deed, you might actually be onto something good. Now, Insider spoke to experts about the benefits of waiting a bit to have sex with your partner. You see, there are benefits, and these are foreign experts. You will know if you can trust them. This is one of the benefits when you wait. Haven't you noticed that? Haven't you heard stories of women who would have committed themselves only to discover that this man, this man is married before, and they pull back. I've heard such stories numerous times. A guy comes out, he has a wife and kid, and he comes out to play with girls, and the girl falls for him, almost, going all out, to sleep with him. And then, bam, like that, she just discovers that, she's onto a wrong thing. This guy is not the right person for me. So they are saying you will know if you can trust them when you wait. During that period of waiting, don't jump into bed with the first person you meet. Waiting is necessary. You get to find out more about them before you commit yourself. Because when you commit and then discover what you don't like, you feel bad. You're traumatized sometimes. You will have a better idea of what you both like. You get to know each other better. I'm skipping some things. Anticipation can make the whole thing sweeter. Yes, when you anticipate, you're waiting, and it also helps you to respect each other. Anticipation, waiting for sex may be difficult at times, but building up the anticipation before going all the way with someone can make it even better. Absolutely. When you wait, you build up sexual tension and fantasies, which can make the whole thing way more fun, Whitney said. All right, now, if you're a person who equates sex with emotion, it will make the experience better for you to wait. Okay, emotion, you put your all. We are all unique individuals. Some people are much more emotional. You put your everything into it. It will be better for you to wait. That's what they're advising. Sex can deepen a bond that you have already created. So while you're waiting, you're forming, bonds. You're bonding, studying each other, getting to like each other more. And then when it's time to have this sex, it strengthens the bond. It gives you both time to get tested. Test each other. It will give you, even safe sex can provide you with some risks. Ideally, you and your partner should both have an up-to-date sexually transmitted infections test. But if you haven't, waiting is a great way to give both of you time to get tested. This way you can both know your status going into the relationship and seek treatment if needed. You can get really good at kissing when you wait. Research, this is Oyibo, don't mind these Oyibo people, these are this foreigner. Research shows you might be happier. Research shows you might be happier after you have waited for sex. You might be happier. These are experts, Oyibo experts who are talking. Yet we stay in Africa and decide how it's done there. We decide that they can't even wait, even on the first day. No, not for everyone. Oh, well, I think this is all coming from the insider.com relationship website. It can help you protect your feelings. This is another advantage of waiting. You protect your feelings and a whole lot of other things. I thank you so much. That's the rewireme.com, another relationship site that is also talking about the importance of waiting for sex. When is the right time to have sex? 3 weeks, 3 months, until we commit to some form of monogamy, that's marriage. So these are questions young people ask. This is interesting, but we can't delve into this now because of time. And I'm afraid we have to go. There are lots of comments here from people. Thank you all for joining me. Zozo, how are you doing? Oge Konkwo is watching. Anya Hechuku is also watching. You didn't tell me from where. Nkem Ugochukwu, thank you. Chris Collins. Nkem Ugochukwu again. Virtuous Woman by Flavor. Oh, yeah. Princess Lynn Anyoha, good morning. Sister Joyce watching from Texas. Oh, thank you very much. Good morning. No wonder you're greeting me. Good morning. Good day, Sister Joyce watching from Ebu Inore here. Nice. Thank you. Tessie also. Tessie, I can see you. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us today. I'm afraid our show is up now. Over. Our time is up. But before I go, I would like you to please go to my YouTube channel and subscribe. I would appreciate that very, very much. I'm into this competition and I need your vote. I need your help. Just click on the subscribe button. I will also, for those of you who have missed this or who caught me midway, I'm going to post this on my YouTube channel so you can listen again. Thank you everyone for joining me today on this show. Now you know what I told them. Wait. Capital W-A-I-T. Wait! You're a teenager, you're young. Focus on your books, on your studies, and on developing skills. I love you all so very much, and I remain your angel, Joyce Unebu. Goodbye now. Chigozie, thank you so much. And Chizo, thank you too for being here. Bye, everybody. My love, you did so great. I ate so much. Adobe. Adobe. Adobe, they walk. Adobe, it's 4 o'clock. In our way. Okay. Adobe, they walk. She's on the walk. Bye bye.